Hi everyone, welcome to the weekly SEO. Today I have an amazing guest from Argentina. Sorry, I'm so excited and I can't put my words into sentence with my excitement. Hi Ellie, how are you?
Hi, Nusra. How are you? Thank you
I'm
for talking to me today.
I'm so happy to have you here. I'm excellent. I'm marvelous right now. It's Friday. It's a sunny Friday in Turkey, and everything is great.
Yes, it's Friday here as well, and it's a cold and sunny Friday in Córdoba, Argentina, where I am right now.
Okay, it's morning there, right? Right now.
Yes, this morning it is 10:30 in the morning.
Internet is such a good thing. It can connect us throughout the world. So I'm so happy to be here today. And let's wait for a few seconds for the attenders, then we can start.
Okay.
And for our listeners, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them during the live stream. We can answer them during or at the end of the live stream if we have it. So, how is Argentina other than the weather? Is everything okay?
We are, the only big problem I see is that we have a shortage of water in some rivers right now, big rivers we have. And that is, I think, that because of the global climate crisis. So that's one problem. But right now it's winter, so it's fine. Uh, Usually, summer is the problem because it is very hot and we have problems in some places with the water and we have fires and that is kind of difficult. But right now,
It's
it's
sad.
fine.
Okay. People are coming and going, and I think everything is okay. We can start if you want.
Okay. My screen is. Can you see my screen? Yes or no?
Yep. I brought the screen.
Okay. Perfect. Fine. So I am originally I started in an American digital marketing agency called Media 8 in 2006, working remote from here from Córdoba as an ad operations manager or traffic manager, implementing paid media campaigns for big brands in the United States like HBO, Sony, Starwood Hotels, and there I got curious about SEO and search marketing. So I started to learn in the job. None of the clients wanted to pay for SEO because they were more involved in paid media, but we offered as a bonus the SEO services. So I learned a lot. And then in 2011, I had my first 100% SEO job, a migration of a very big global site. And after that, I continued as an SEO specialist, SEO manager, SEO consultant, SEO strategist, um, doing App Store optimization. And in 2017, Naranja, now Naranja X, the biggest credit card issuer in Argentina, they called me as an in-house SEO specialist because they were starting their digital transformation, and a couple of years after that, in 2020, SEMrush published in their blog the success story of Naranja in Argentina, of SEO in Argentina with Naranja. So I was very proud the when the article in the blog was out, and it tells the story of what did we do in Naranja to get to the first position, to the top positions in the first page of Google, and also to up the sales online from zero in 2017 to the 70%. And from that 70% of sales, 30% were from organic. And now, since 2018, I teach the SEO class in a couple of universities in online digital marketing certifications. And right now I am an independent SEO specialist, strategist, and consultant. And I am a proud member of the Women in Tech SEO community and the Latinas in SEO community, two women community where we share our knowledge and they are safe environments for us, women in SEO, to share our knowledge and also help each other. So I am happy, very happy to be a part of those communities. And I thank you, Busra, for posting in the Women in Tech SEO community Slack your announcement for this podcast because well, I am very excited to be here today. Okay, so fun fact about me. I consider myself a multi-potentialite, which is someone with many interests and aptitudes across multiple disciplines. And I first learned about the word in 2015 in a TED Talk gave by Emily Wapnick. After that, she wrote a book. The book is How to Be Everything. And this means that I am a digital marketing specialist and SEO specialist, but also I am a vegetarian cook. I am a meditator. I am a mindfulness facilitator for children and for adults, and well, many other things. And you can see him. You can see here in the photo. I am cooking. I was cooking there in a hotel here in Córdoba for 150 people, vegetarian meals. So also I worked in many things. So right now I am working as an SEO specialist, and I think that I will be working as an SEO specialist for many years on. But I did a lot of things in my life, right? And I learned a lot. And the other thing is that my story isn't over yet. I like very much the project Semicolon, which is a global initiative founded by Amy Blewell in 2013, which creates online resources for self-care and mental health, supporting the implementation of suicide prevention efforts in communities all over the world. So that is a project very dear for me. And my motto is think, stay alive, and be happy. That is the first phrase I say every day when I wake up. Okay, so I am starting with our talk today. If you didn't see Estela Franco's talk last week, I recommend you see that talk because she was talking about core web vitals as well, and it was very good, and she shared a lot of very good tips for core web vitals. This talk is going to be with a different point of view. So it is core web vitals, improvement and business impact. So at first we are going to talk a little about what are core web vitals. Then we are going to see how to measure core web vitals, also very briefly. Then we will see some tips to improve Core Web Vitals and how are Core Web Vitals related to SEO KPIs and how to show Core Web Vitals business impact. First of all, there is a page that has all the information about Web Vitals and Core Web Vitals. So the main Core Web Vitals are LCP, FID, and CLS. LCP, or largest contentful paint, refers to loading performance, when the page loads, right? And it should occur in within 2.5 seconds. First, FID, first input delay, measures interactivity. So when the page, when the user is able to interact with the page, and that should be 100 milliseconds or less. And then CLS, or cumulative layout shift, measures visual stability. That means that the elements of the page, when the user starts seeing them and is able to interact with them, don't change place. So if the page is loading and there is a button, for example, or there is a link, the link is not going to move, so the user can be able to click where he sees the link. The link is not going to escape the click, right? There are other Web Vitals. These other Web Vitals serve as a proxy or supplemental metrics, right, for the Core Web Vitals I just named. And what they do, what we need them to, is to, for example, diagnosing a specific issue. We need to diagnose something, and we can use them as a supplemental metric. For example, we have the time to first byte and first contentful paint. They measure vital aspects of the loading experience, right? And they are useful in diagnosing issues with LCP. Yes, for example, slow server response or render blocking resources, for example. And then we have, for example, total blocking time and time to interactive. They are lab metrics, and we can catch and diagnose potential interactivity issues, right, that will impact FID. So right now, they are not part of the Core Web Vitals, but because they are not field measurable, but they are very useful, as I said, in the diagnosis. Estela Franco named some of these tools last week, but I am going to share with you some of the tools that you can use to measure Core Web Vitals. This information you can explore and you can read in seosly.com, the blog of Olga Sarseksna. She has this article. The link is here, and she has this very good article about Core Web Vitals audit, step by step, and she explains everything in very good detail. So that is a very good job she has done there. So we have Google Page Speed Insights. We can analyze Core Web Vitals on a page basis. Google Search Console, we analyze Core Web Vitals in bulk. It means that Google Search Console gets groups of pages and unites them for their analysis. Then we have the Google Chrome Experience Report and the Web Vitals JavaScript library. Those resources are field tools. They work better with pages. The two last ones work better with pages which have more traffic, you know. And then you have the lab tools to audit Core Web Vitals, which are Core Dev tools and Lighthouse, and web page test, and Web Vitals Chrome extension. They are very useful. And for example, web page test, if you want to dig really deep in Core Web Vitals and how your pages load, it's great, right? And it has a free version and a paid version. All those tools are free. You can use also paid tools if you prefer, but with these tools, you can do a very good job, right? So, thinking about Core Web Vitals, not everyone sees Core Web Vitals in the same way. For example, for users, Core Web Vitals improve their experience when they go to a page. So uh, Core Web Vitals makes users happy and assures the loyalty to our pages. For product managers, when many users use the features that they just launched, it's a signal of feature success. The feature is good and the feature is understood and used by the users. Developers see it as meaningful work because they work hard and in some feature or in some page, and the users are using it and it is working fine. And then how executives see it, or business people see it, is business growth, because if a page or a site or a feature is working fine and users are going there and we are giving users what they need, they are going to convert. So we are going to see a change also in the revenue of what we are working on. So we as SEO need to learn how to communicate Core Web Vital to each one of the parts involved, right? So we are going to see some case studies that are in one very good article called Vital's Business Impact, and we will see that we can achieve a lot by adopting best practices and implementing quick wins. The first case study is Vodafone, which is a leading telecommunications company in Europe and Africa. And what they did is they did an A/B test with two landing pages for paid campaigns, so they could control the traffic to the landing pages. So they had one page, they split the traffic in 50 for one page, 50 for the other page. And the version A was a page optimized for LSP, 31% better. And the version B was the original page. And they saw that a 15% improvement in lead to visit rate, 11% improvement on cart to visit rate, and on 8% more sales with this experiment. Very controlled experiment, so it was possible for them to correlate the improvement on LSP with the 8% sales, right? Because you have to be able to correlate and to show that these results were a direct consequence of the improvement of this Core Web Vital, right? What did they do? They did server-side render the critical HTML. So they experimented with server-side with different types of server-side rendering until they found this. They reduced the render blocking JavaScript, and they used image optimization techniques, and they resized the hero image, deferring non-critical resources. Also, they learned that A/B testing is the best way to measure the meaningful impact, and A/B should be a server-side one. Then we have Tokopedia, which is the #1 e-commerce in Indonesia. So what they improved the LCP by 55% and saw 23% better average session duration. They need their users to be in their site because it's an e-commerce. So the user goes there and the user explores and the user search for what they want, and the users also buy things. So it is good that the users feel comfortable in the site and the users stay there more time. What did they do? They server-side render LCP elements. They preloaded all the LCP elements, and also they did image optimization again, right? And then what did they learn? They learned that if you build a performance monitoring dashboard to monitor progress, you can see the progress and the impact across teams. So they used monitoring, continuous monitoring of the core web vitals, and also they experimented with different rendering techniques. For example, server-side rendering, LCP elements versus server-side renderings above the default content versus full client-side rendering, right? And they found which of the renderings was best for the page. And the third example is Redbus, which is a global online bus tickets platform, and they made a number of fixes in the core web vitals, and these fixes contributed to the 80% to 100% mobile conversion rates. They increased 80% to 100% their conversions from mobile, and also they had a significant domain rate ranking uplift across Redbus global market properties, right? So you have here the graphic, and you can see 192% domain ranking uplifts in Colombia. And which techniques they used? They fixed slots for page components and removed unoptimized tag insertion scripts, and also they optimized third-party scripts and built microservices with single responsibility principle. So what did they learn with these improvements and these results? That reducing CLS from 1.65 to 0 uplifted the domain rankings globally. Also, reducing TTI from around 8 seconds to around 4 seconds, and TBT for around 1200 milliseconds to around 700 milliseconds contributed to almost 100% increase in CVR across global properties. Also, they used the real user metrics tools to help capture the real world performance metric in lower tier markets. And also they adopted, this is very important, a performance culture to avoid regression. So they worked a lot for these improvements, and they also adopted a performance culture to continuously measure these metrics. So if they see that the metrics vary, they improve the metrics, or they start working to improve the metrics immediately. So this also improves team productivity, right? Because the code is optimized and the releases are faster and there are fewer production issues. When you uh, when you when you run PageSpeed Insight or web measures, or you see that you have the diagnostics there, and you see a number of menus, and you see a number of actions that are suggested, and you have the detail of the actions. So you have, for example, here, avoid an excessive DOM size. And then you have minimize main thread work. Ensure text remains visible during web phone load. And then you have reduce first impact in third-party code. Well, I'm going to talk about that right now, which is when you see the third-party code, usually third-party code the uh, is the one that has a lot of the one that has a lot of weight, and you see that, and this is the one thing that you see, and you think that you have to work on that immediately. But before starting working on that, because it is kind of difficult to reduce this impact, this specific impact, the impact of third-party code, because you have to know which are the teams that are using. Why do we have all this third-party code, right? You have to analyze that. So you have to see, for example, here you have double-click ads, right? So double-click ads, you have to see who is responsible for these double-click ads. Are we having revenue from these double-click ads? Okay, so we have to leave that. You have also Facebook, Google Tag Manager. Google Tag Manager for measuring, usually we can't touch because many people in the business are measuring that, and so Google Tag Manager perhaps we can't touch. There we have Hotjar, which is a tool for A/B testing. So perhaps someone is using that, and we can touch that. Google Analytics. Everyone uses Google Analytics, so we can't touch Google Analytics there also. Criteo, it's another tool, so you have to inquire, you have to look for the stakeholders for Criteo, who is using that tool, right? Also, for example, Google Fonts. Google Fonts are light usually, so perhaps we don't do anything there. Bing Ads, other Google APIs, and many other third-party code. So the first thing you have to do if you want to improve the third-party code is to talk to the people that is involved with each one of those tools that we have the third-party code there. And you have to see if it is possible, or perhaps there was a tool that was used and then they stopped using the tool, and you can eliminate that code from there. But the first step is to talk to the teams to see if someone needs that, and why, and what is the impact if we take that off from the code, right? So my advice is to start with the rest of the diagnostics, with the rest of the to prioritize. We start with the images. We start with the DOM. We start with the thread work, and we start with the JavaScript, and we start with the serving the static assets, yes, and we start with first contentful paint first. So we prioritize all the other aspects, and in the meantime, we start talking to people to see who is using, or if they are using all those apps or those tools that are in the third party code, right? So you have to dialogue with people, and you have to talk to them. So how do we do that? First of all, very important, start measuring. So we have to start measuring to establish a baseline. Then we have to convince the stakeholders. Once we measure and once we make a prioritization of the things that have to be done, we have to talk, which convince each one of our stakeholders, the people in the DevOps, the project managers, and also the programmers, and the people in the marketing team, and the people in directors board, right? Everyone has to be convinced, and we have to deliver a very understandable message. Also, after that, we have to deliver successful implementation using best practices, and explain the business impact. How do we explain the business impact? This is a figure from a post in Semra's blog. You have this SEO KPIs you should track, right? So we as SEOs, we track all these KPIs, right? Well, we have to relate the improvement of core web vitals with some of these KPIs. For example, one very important KPI that we can relate core web vitals improvements with is conversions, sales or leads, right? We have also bounce rate, and we have coverage issues, and we have, well, also page speed, which is kind of core web vitals important. And then we have also organic CTR no, but conversions, page speed, coverage issues, ROI, and organic sessions and bounce rate are SEO KPIs that we track. When we track, we should relate them with the improvement of core web vitals. How do we do that? We measure and we establish a baseline, right? So, for example, today we are starting our project and we want to improve the core web vitals. So today we measure core web vitals, each one of them, for the main pages on our site, because remember that it is page by page basis. So which pages are we going to choose? We are going to choose the pages that have more traffic, or the pages that give us the most revenue, right? So we measure those aspects of the pages, and we measure the core web vitals, right? And when we start working in the core web vitals and improving them, we also compare the difference between those SEO metrics with, in time, the improvement of the core web vitals. Again, we have to identify the stakeholders, each person that is going to be responsible, for example, to the programmers that are going to fix the JavaScript, for example, or the DevOps that are going to fix the rendering. We have to identify them, we have to talk to them, we have to explain, and we have to let them know about Google's, for example, resources, because there are many resources from Google about core web vitals. We have to explain in context the why we need that. And also, if we can provide a step-by-step with checklist roadmap, prioritization, to make everyone responsible and to have deadlines, right? This is a very good tool. Uh, it is a Google Sheets, and it is to measuring core web vitals, and it is free. And it is in this the URL to get that is at the bottom of this page. And what this tool does is you feed it with the URLs you need to measure, and it measures every day for desktop and for mobile all the core web vitals, and you have the numbers, so you have very little graphs there that illustrate the advance of the metrics, but you have the metrics every day, and you don't have to do it manually, and you don't have to get a very expensive tool to do that, because you have this very simple tool, and the code is open, so you can also improve the code for you. And in this example, for example, I have the URLs of all the main e-commerce in Argentina, right? The main pages that have e-commerces in Argentina, and I place the pages there, and you place the pages there. You make a copy of the file that is in the page, and then you put the URLs you want. You can put the URLs of different URLs of your site. For example, the main URLs, the URLs that sell the most or that have more traffic. But also you can create one for you and your competitors. So you have here, for example, if one of these e-commerces is my client, and I am going to use according to the word that the page is, for example, I am competing for one business niche, right, with the others. So I use the URLs specific for that niche from all my competitors, also mine, and I follow the how are they in their core web vitals and how am I in my core web vitals, right? And I compare, I use these metrics also to add for the competition analysis, right? And you can show this to all the teams, because when you improve your core web vitals, you will be seeing also improvements in your position and competitivity related to your main competitors, right? And you can follow this with these Google Sheets. Also, I recommend one book, the Executive SEO Playbook. It has a lot of very good advice. Mainly for in-house SEOs, but it can be used also with for consultants. And for me, it has been very useful to organize short trainings, like half an hour training with the DevOps team, or half an hour training with the the IT team, and where you explain the main actions that they should be able to do to improve, for example, the core web vitals. Also, you can create good SEO practices documents for each role and team involved. So you give them the 20% they have to know to implement an SEO culture in a business, right? And then also you can organize toolkits for them to learn how to read the SEO metrics and that impact each one of the teams, the actions of the teams. And also you have to establish a very good communication about positive and negative variations of the metrics regularly. And also, when things go good and we got very good results and we got an impact in the business, you have to be grateful and share the credit publicly. So if you are showing the business results and you are not showing, for example, the more technical results because you are talking to the business executives, also you have to say there that who was involved in this development, and that, for example, the technical team worked in the improvements. And even though you are not going to talk about the technical aspects involved, this improvement in, for example, in sales, or this improvement in the metrics, in the business metrics, has its origin in this technical work. So this is my last advice, and thank you very much. If you have questions, please let me know now.
Thank you, Ellie. It was a really insightful presentation. It was really good. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And I agree with Brenda. I never thought to do an NADB test for Core Web Vitals. It's really interesting. It was a really interesting example. And the Google Sheet that you show was a really good source to try.
Yes. Thank you, Brenda. Brenda is my hero. I have been following Brenda since I started in Women in Tech SEO. I have listened to her in Isalin's podcast, and she's my hero. So thank you, Brendan, for listening to me.
And thank you, Ellie, today being here with us. And I guess they don't have any questions.
Okay.
Thank you so much being a guest here, although it's so early in Argentina. And have a nice weekend, everyone.
I'm sorry.